This is the fourth part in this 4-part series, and I'm going to cover some simple electronics, some simple solutions to get some lights in your cases. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2, or 3 of this tutorial, links for those can be found in the description below. This next part is going to be about adding lights. I mean, it's totally optional. You don't need lights to make a really cool in-universe case. A lot of cases in the Star Wars universe are just plain, but I love those cases where there's just like 1 or 2 little lights. Something about that just makes it Star Wars to me. And it can be as simple as just like a couple of LEDs. That looks cool. I've made light panels where I put a piece of vinyl over like a piece of plastic and lit it. There are these moving lights I've gotten from different places. There are, you know, custom little readout things that you can find. All of those are really fun to add. And when I started, I didn't really understand much about electricity at all, like how to wire circuits or anything like that. So the really simple version is to do like, take a battery powered nightlight that just uses a few batteries, and you can turn it on and make light, and you can put something in front of it for light to come through. And that is as simple as it gets. Actually, I have those up here. So those are just panel lights, the same panel light right behind this kind of vent, and it gives it that look. It has something to diffuse it a little bit and a little bit of a gel to give it some color. That kind of thing is like a really easy approach. The next step up from that is wiring it to a switch so that you can turn it off and on without having to lift off the lid. Especially in this case, like you have to twist a knob. I yank that knob out and then run a wire to an external switch so that you can push buttons and turn off all your lights without having to open the bins. So wiring a switch will make it, you know, a really awesome extra thing, and I'm going to show you about that. But simple circuits, just a battery, switch, resistor, LED, back to battery, it's not as scary as it sounds. I mean, I had to figure it out, but to do that kind of basic thing is not that complex, and it's totally worth doing if you want to add just a little prop and light. And once you add that light to these, then you'll have confidence to add it to other props that really need lighting. So let me show you how to do that. First, I'll start off by showing how to add an external switch to something as simple as this, and then I'll go over a bunch of the other things like quick connectors and you know, ways to run cords and cord management to keep it from getting messed up inside the bin. But some basic, simple, like run a switch so you can push a button and have lights come on, that's going to be something that adds a lot to any case. A really simple way to get some light into your build is to use something like this, like a battery powered nightlight. It just has a few batteries. This one even came with them in it. And you can put like some kind of diffuser plastic in front of it and maybe some colored light, and you can get sort of a blue panel. It's kind of blown out in here, but it really it looks just like a solid blue in real life. So you don't want it so close that you can make out those individual lines, so you want to give it a little bit of distance. So this is great, but you don't want to have to open your case and twist this knob, and this knob actually sort of sticks up, so I'm going to be removing that knob. So what a really simple, easy project for using one of these is to get a switch on the outside of your case. And this is like a little push button switch. You don't want a momentary one which would just only be lit while you're pushing it. You want one that you push and it clicks, and you push it again and it unclicks. A note on switches, you know, lots of switches have 2 prongs. That makes it easy. You just run the wire from one to the next, you know, and that would interrupt and reconnect those 2 wires. If your switch has 3 tabs, kind of like these common ones you see on a lot of products, those 3, it was confusing at first, but basically you could use this switch to switch between one or another thing. But if you're using it just to turn on and off, basically connect one wire to the middle and one to one side. And when it's on the side with the 2 wires, that's on. When it's on the side where there's 1 wire and nothing, that would be off. So you can just connect it to any 2, and that'll determine which way's on or off. The really simple rule of thumb is you need a switch just interrupts the flow of power. And you want to interrupt the flow of power from the batteries to the lights, and you want to do it before it gets to the first light. So this technically already has a switch of sorts in it, which is that twist knob. So we want to see where that comes in, but anything you open, don't be afraid to open stuff. There's the switch. There's the battery case, and you basically want to put your interrupt on the red wire, which is the positive off of the battery case. So this wire looks like it goes red over to this first light, to the next light, back to the switch, and then back over to the battery. And I usually just cut that red wire right in the middle and splice in my switch. So let's do it. I'm using these quick connectors. In this case, because a switch is just interrupting a single wire, you don't need to worry about red or black on this, because we're basically extending the red wire and putting a switch into it. I also use these little heat shrink tubes, so you got to pre-put those on before you solder it together, and then you can use a heat gun and it shrinks over your connection. So I just use one of these little holders and clip it. There are lots of videos on how to solder that are probably going to be better than anything I show you, but if you've never done it, you don't want to melt solder onto the joint and drip it on there. It's not a glue. You want to heat your wires until they're hot, and then touch the solder to those hot wires so that it's actually melting to the metal of the wires, because they're hot enough to melt the solder themselves. Okay, and then you check your wire, give it a little tug. If it doesn't break, you're good. And then once I do this other one, I'll slide this heat shrink over it. These are soldered. Slide my heat shrink down to protect those contacts. Nice. All right, now we have our switch in here. We don't have the knob on there. Here, let me use this. If I turn it on now, nothing happens because there's no power, because we've interrupted it with this switch. If I plug this in and push the button, now this switch controls that light. So we can use the knob or, pliers or whatever to adjust this, because we're not going to use that knob anymore. So we'll leave it on and turn off our switch. Now we've got this switch with a quick connector, but we need to get this switch outside of this box because we're going to close this all up. So I'm going to drill a hole in the back of the case right about there, and I'm going to pass this switch through the hole. So that's one of the advantages of a little quick connector, is we can now pass something tiny through the hole to the outside, and we'll close this all up. Connect up our switch. And now we have a push button light switch, and we can disconnect this, put this through a hole in the case, reconnect it, and be able to control this light. So to use this panel, that's the same kind of thing I used in here. You can kind of make out the two bars. The further back it is from your diffuser panel, the less obvious those two bars will be. But you can see I just, put one of these in here. I just used a couple bolts to hold it in place. Sometimes I'll use a bracket to keep it further out because it's a little bit close on this one. I just didn't have a lot of room in here. I didn't want it to touch the Rhodian face, but that's as simple as it is. It's just one of these just stuck inside here with the bolt. I just bolted with a washer. One bolt goes all the way through, and there's my cord. I guess I came out of the side on this one, but that's how I used to do it when I didn't really understand how to make my own circuits. And these are nice, kind of big. I mean, you can't really do this as well with LEDs. This is kind of a big, soft light. So I still use these in some of my cases exactly like this. If you're doing any kind of more complex circuit, it's really helpful to get one of these simple like little kits that comes with a breadboard. And a breadboard is just a way to test your circuits before you solder them up, because there's always room for something to go a little bit wrong, and this will help you figure that out. And it comes with a lot of these kind of temporary cords that you can test, like connect before you solder, and these are just reusable things that you use with every build. This one came with a bunch of other stuff, but I really use these, test cords and this with some LEDs and resistors and a battery to see what I can do. A simple circuit, once you master that, it will unlock a whole bunch of possibilities in lighting up props and sound and a bunch of other stuff. So at its most basic, you need a power source. It can be like a 9-volt, which is really common because it puts out a lot of voltage, which allows you to do a lot with LEDs. But it can be as simple as, a couple of AA's in a battery pack. You just need a way to connect one of these with either like a box or something else to there. Usually you want a switch, a way to turn it off. These boxes have a switch on them. I almost never use that. I usually wire up some kind of external switch, push button switch, and an LED and a resistor. And the resistors are to keep it from blowing out the LED, which would happen if I connected this LED right to this 9-volt, it would just die. And a resistor keeps it at just the right amount of power to keep this burning brightly without blowing it out. It's very simple. So these come in hundreds of different types. They're based on how many ohms they are. Usually use something in the 300 ohm range or even under 100 depending on your circuit and what you're doing. Like this is a 2.2 million ohms, so they come in all kinds of sizes, and you usually buy them in a kit. You have to calculate which one you need, but once you do that enough times, you tend to get the hang of it. So we're going to use a green LED, a battery, and a switch and a resistor, and make our simple circuit. All right, for a basic circuit, you want to check and make sure what you're going to do. You can draw it out ahead of time like I did here. So this is my 9-volt going to a switch, going to a resistor. 330 ohm is what I calculated for a green LED off of a 9-volt battery, a 5mm one. LED, back to the battery. It's really simple. That's a circuit. Power goes in, gets interrupted if I want here, makes light, comes back, and continue. So before you just start soldering this up, this should work fine, but especially when you're beginning, but also when there are multiple other things that you're going to do, you want to test it out. And a breadboard is a really common way to do that. And what it has in it is basically a bunch of rows that are connected sideways, and you can go from one row to the next to connect something else. I ran my battery to one side and the other side, so positive comes down here, negative comes out here. I ran it over to my switch, to a resistor, to the bulb, back to the negative, just like my drawing. And if I push this button, it works. That's it. You just test it. Now, if I wanted to do a second green light or a yellow light or something else, I could run a parallel one off of that, but I wouldn't do that before testing it here. So let's try. Let's see, I can have it come off this same row, and I'm using the resistor to kind of get to the next row. Should be the same for a blue light. The different colors require different resistors slightly. They all use a different power, but blue and green are really similar. So let's go over to there and connect from that row to my negative, and then if I turn it on, they both come on. Yay, it works. So breadboard is a really good way to test your circuits and make sure it's all working before you solder it all up. Most of what you use for resistors will be in this sort of like 330 down to like, 20 range of ohms. You don't really need anything up in the tens of thousands or millions. But those kits tend to come with it all. But if you're still nervous about resistors, one other really common option a lot of people use are things that come pre-resistored. So there's a little resistor already soldered to this that works in a range from 5 volts to, actually this one says 3 volts to 12 volts. Like anywhere in that range, they put a pretty broad resistor that should cover all of that. So like I wired up my same circuit right here, but I just wired directly a blue and a green, and I just push the button and they work. And they have a resistor already in them. So you can buy these pre-resistored packs. They come in lots of different forms, but if it says pre-resistored and that range covers what your battery is doing, so you have like 4.5 volts or 9 volts, pre-resistored is really simple, and I use these kind of guys all the time because they're even simpler and one less soldering step. When you're all done installing your electronics, a really important step at the very end, especially with a costume transport, is to protect that wiring. If you just leave all those wires bare and you keep throwing costumes in and out, especially armor and other things that can hook on those wires, every time they get hit, there's a chance that they'll disconnect, or some part of the circuitry will break, or some part of your switch will get loose, and eventually your lights won't work. So a really good practice is to keep them protected. One of the methods is to put it in a place in the case where it's got some natural protection, like from the ribbing shape of the case. So that's a really good, simple solution. You can do something as simple as use gaffer's tape or something else to tape it down into one of those channels. That can be a really good thing. But what I do often is to use some kind of piece of plastic to protect those wirings, or a container or something that I can kind of bolt in place, and it will keep those wires behind a safe box. And that should make it so that there's no problem at all. If you have a battery pack in there, you want to make it something that's easily removable so that you can change out that battery when you eventually need to. But this one here is a pencil case that I got at like a dollar store, and I used the 2 halves on either side to protect the wires on the 2 sides of this case. On this one, I took the bottom of the flower pot that I had cut off and flipped it over on the inside to use as a cover for the electronics inside here. The key is keeping those wires safe from being bumped into and caught on anything you throw in or out of that case. Well, that's it. That's all the stuff I use when I build cases. I mean, I started having a lot of issues in my very first one, but still love doing it. And then over time, I keep adding more and more little features or techniques, or discovering little ways to attach stuff. And that's all here in this video, everything I've learned. So if you do this and create something, a way to hold a small prop or a big costume transport case, please tag me so I can see what you've done, because this all represents what I do and how I do it, but I have a certain aesthetic and everybody has a different one, and I can't wait to see what people do. So make your world look more in universe and beautiful, and share your love for Star Wars. That's it. All right, happy crafting.